Greetings here from the Napa Valley Film Festival. We are in the Maserati Patron Lounge here at Raymond Vineyards featuring Gaggenau, and I'm joined once again by none other than Jean-Charles Boisset. Good to see you again, sir.
Always a pleasure.
Definitely.
Always. Well, let's do a real cheers.
I can
Santé, mon ami.
Yes.
Cheers.
So we spoke last on Tuesday, and since then, the film festival has come to life. We had the kickoff event last night. The Patron Lounge here has launched today. There's people buzzing about, a great energy. How are you feeling so far, day one?
Loving it, loving it. And did you see a few seconds ago was the famous trilogy of the rainbow outside? So one of the most magical natural expression of the sky, giving us not only energy, but at the same time a sense of place. So I love to see all those people coming and spending time with us and enjoying the cars, the food, obviously the movies, and naturally the wine.
Now, what is your favorite part of the film festival?
Well, the parties, naturally, being with you like this, feeling the energy, having the artists and the producers talking about their movies as well. Like we just had a few moments ago, you know, those two producers who did the short films and telling us about it. Meeting really the people as well who are behind the camera and in the minds of creating the stories. Like us as winemakers, some people like to hear about the stories of the wine. It's great to hear the stories about the movies as well and be with them.
Definitely. And can you tell our viewers a little bit about what you've put together in terms of an experience here with Gaggenau and Maserati?
Well, when it comes to cars, there's nothing more sexy than an ooh, you know that noise, right? This is the tweak and the branding of Maserati, which is that incredible car, which I love. So we invited Maserati to be with us here at Raymond Vineyards so that we would have a stellar, one of the most famous brands in cars. Gaggenau is obviously a historical French kitchen, which is probably one of the best there is in the world as far as design and styles and class. So we're very good friends with Michael and Melissa Traub. They elected with all their teams to come and have Holly Pedersen as our chef with Michel Cornu, our private chef, to really demonstrate great foods with our wines, of course. And we have a wine bar, naturally, representing all our wineries.
Beautiful. And we had the opportunity to talk to the Maserati folks earlier, and they're having a great time. And with the success that this is all turning out to be, we must plant a seed next year for the Red Room Special Edition Maserati. Can you imagine?
I would adore it. And I would be the first one on the list, I hope. But if need be, I'll be the one stitching all that beautiful velvet. And not only on the seats, I will put it on the dashboard and the gearbox.
There you go. There you go.
We talked about a Baccarat hand gear shift.
Ooh, even better, my dear. A Baccarat. Ooh, touching crystal is already giving me giggles.
So we are here at Raymond Vineyards. You've assembled an amazing portfolio of wine estates all over the world. What makes this estate for you so special? Well,
you're so kind, first of all, to say that and recognize it. Our whole philosophy is based on heritage and history and the identity and the authenticity of each of those places. So we are here in Napa Valley, which is the epicenter of elegance and style in California. And naturally, the Raymonds were the one who really started. We are really continuing their dreams. And specifically here, the Red Room used to be Walter's and Roy Raymond's office. We've turned the accounting room into quite a room, as you see.
You certainly have.
And that collection of wineries really represent, whether you're in the Russian River with the first pioneers of Pinot, with Deloach, Buena Vista, the first historical winery in California in the premium side of things, Leith, the first premium Meritage, Raymond's, and of course Lockwood in Monterey. A group of wineries which really work well together, create phenomenal wines with a great sense of place.
Outstanding. Now, we do have some bloggers tuning in with us today, so I'm going to give them a quick shout out. We have Grace Hoffman from Des Moines, Iowa, cellar mistress.
I love that name.
Yes, and a fellow Wine Bloggers Conference alumni, so great to see her tuning in. Dezel Quillen from Alexandria, Virginia, My Vine Spot. Martin Jean from New York with Flawless Crowns, a very cool men's lifestyle blog.
Cool.
and Nikki McNeil from Atlanta with Single Bubble Pop, which is an interior design
That's right.
blog, which fits in very well with what we got going on here. So with our bloggers, we'd love to learn a little bit more about the 2008 Generations, which we are tasting today.
Well, which is very funny that you mentioned interior design, fashion, art, food, and all that, because in order to compose a wine like Generation, all of those components have to come into play to actually achieve the results in the glass. And this is important, as you asked kindly about Raymond. It's all about this. It's all about interior design, emotion, experience, food, wine, arts, learning about geology and the sense of place. And this is really what Generation is about, because as Americans, we need to be very proud about the heritage. And I say as Americans, as you know, I'm a Frenchman still today. However, I'm very proud to be here, and Generation symbolizes the essence of 5 generations of winemakers in the heart of Napa Valley. And why I engage you to obviously with this beautiful Baccarat. Did you hear that again?
I did.
Woo! Woo! It vibrates in my hands, doesn't it? Like the wine, this is the ultimate wine we make at Raymond. Crafted by 2 ladies, followed by 2 men, you know, Stephanie Putnam and Kathy George, and of course Philippe Melka and myself participate to the blend. And what has been created here is an expression of interior design, interior emotions. That's a new word I'm going to start. Interior emotion and external expressions. It's what you see inside of a house and what you see outside of the house. You have obviously a very attractive presentation, and at the same time a wine with a lot of depth and a lot of stories. And as I invite my nose to feel the bouquet of this wine, I really could feel layers and layers of decades of history here in California, and that's what I love about this wine. I'm really bullish about Raymond Generations because for me, as a European specifically, it represents everything in this presentation, which is all about the American classics. And there's a lot to say. American classics, we talk about Maserati, yes, but when you think about America, it's the Cadillac, the Levi's, that very stable, incredible nations, and the 50s and the 60s and the dynamics of it. And this wine, I think, is all of the above.
So last time we tasted the 2009 Reserve, and it was stunning. And can you kind of contrast this bottling with the Reserve bottling?
That's right. So here we basically taste every single barrels we have in the cellar, and we have 3 key vineyards right around us as an estate, including our own estates, which we kind of put together, and we say we're going to try to create a wine with a lot of eloquence, a lot of sophistication, underlining strength and power, but absolutely beautifully inviting and silky on the palates. So this is a combination of valley floor fruits, where we are here at Raymond, as well as a little bit of the hillsides. So you associate both here, and it's a limited edition of only less than 1,000 cases.
Oh, wow.
So versus the 2, the Reserve is more widely edited, and this is really the tiny collection. This is the haute couture of our défilé or our fashion show.
And you have some very exciting things happening in your vineyards right now in terms of moving towards more sustainable certifications.
Thank you for recognizing that. That's you mentioning a key point, which is really respecting nature. What is so important in today's world, and I love the old American saying, take your shoes off, take your socks off, walk the earth, caress the skin of the earth, and feel her energy. And all things being said, we are borrowing our land from our children. So we need to respect at the utmost level our vineyards, because a great wine like this, 80% of it comes from the vineyards. So we've converted all this estate, where we are today, over 100 acres, into organic and biodynamic farming. So we listen to the rhythm of nature, thanks to the lunar calendar, and we apply that to winemaking and grape growing, which gives us, as you could see, an extremely pure, an extremely balanced, and a fabulous expression of the soil, the land, and the energy of that year. And that's what really, in many ways, creates the excitement of of what the wine world is about is vintages, uniqueness of sense of place. And this is why people want to come to Napa to taste that magnetic strength that we have in this glass.
Definitely. Now going back to this wine right here, can you tell me a little about, when you smell this wine, what jumps out at you for making this wine a Generations bottling for you? For me, there's a gorgeous black pepper, right, and it's layered almost, and it's a beautiful complexity.
And you obviously an expert, so I'll let you describe what you feel. What is very important for me when I smell this wine is I feel America.
Yeah.
And I feel the identity of Napa Valley. Without any questions, I'm not in Pauillac, I'm not in Saint-Estèphe, I'm not on the right bank or the left bank of Bordeaux. I'm in a very sophisticated world, in a very refined world of wine, and at the same time, I'm not in Europe. So that's what appeals to me, because Generation is to symbolize, since 1876, this amazing family has been making wine here, is I need on the nose to feel their savoir-faire. They have an art de vivre, an art of winemaking, which is really, really expressive here. And Raymond Generation has to be that. It has to be elegance, sophistication, beautiful fruit, but it has to be America. It doesn't have to be what I would call 1970, 1980, even 1990 winemaking. Why I'm so thrilled to work with two women, and Philippe and I, is because this evolution is a new trend I think we are starting in Napa Valley, which is all about finesse and elegance with underlying power. So as you said, the wine on the nose and the aromatic expression is very refined. I think it's very sophisticated, and at the same time, the wine has power without being immediately your typical 15% alcohol Napa Valley. Napa Valley today belongs to the best, absolutely best terroir in the world. You're convinced of it, I'm convinced of it. As we're presenting wines of that caliber, of that pedigree, I really feel Europeans, Asians will turn their head and say, wait a second, this is a little different than what I used to taste in Napa. And that's really what we're about, every generations, hence the plural, generations, is adding a new vision to winemaking and a new vision to the sense of terroir and to the sense of place and to the definition of Napa. And I think collectively as a family, I would call obviously Stephanie, Kathy, Philippe and I as a family making those wines, we've in many ways are starting to achieve here at Raymond.
And speaking of,
From our bloggers.
Yes.
Sorry to interrupt, gentlemen. I didn't want to bust in, but first of all, we have Flawless Crown says, raising a glass to Jean-Charles. This is phenomenal.
Merci, merci beaucoup.
And Grace, cellar mistress, is chiming in with a question: is Generations always 100% Cabernet Sauvignon?
Indeed. Indeed, we Grace, we're very, very proud. You know, not to say that because I'm from Burgundy that it's always 100% Pinot there and 100% Cabernet here, but we feel we have, luckily here in Napa Valley, the balance of a tremendous amount of flavor profiles and texture. Let's never forget that the wine, and thanks to the rootstocks, get a lot of its flavor and its identity from the soil. We have here over 5 to the 12 most intricate soils around the planet. Even in Burgundy, we only have a few. So luckily, we have all those different soil profiles and identity that we can, thanks to that, create that level of Cabernet, which has different tunes, just like a composition, a symphony, or an amazing music play. And that's why I'm so excited for me, who is learning about Cabernet. Grace, I'm sure I know much less than you do, but I'm a fond of that, because if you're a Pinot lover, like I am, and certainly I have Pinot in my veins, I'm crazy about that. And the more I taste my family, friends back at home, people say, wow, most of them are buying it from us, thank God now, which I'm thrilled, and they don't do that just to please me, because I think we're entering a new generation, no pun intended, into winemaking in California. I hope that answers Grace's questions.
I think that does answer Grace's question. Flawless Crown says this is a delicious, smooth, wine, big flavor and balance.
Thank you. And the word balance is sometimes overused, like équilibre in French. We use that a lot. Balance is very important, and that's what I feel here. You know, I tasted this wine 3 months ago when we released it. The tannins were very elegant, but was still too much there. Today, I find this wine beautiful in a sense that the tannins are on the back end of your palate, and the wine is very precise. So you feel tannins, but you feel it in the right way, not in the overly powerful way. And that's why I like that common balance is in its true sense what it is.
Cellar Mistress is coming back with velvety, peppery, silky, and sexy. She loves this wine.
Ooh! We like those words, don't we?
We'll roll with it's a pleasurable wine indeed.
Thank you. Well, what is very nice, and often I'm invited to some friends of mine house, and most of them are not in the wine world, and I'm like this. So that's why I love that comment. I do those crazy noise. And you know what is fun about it is you want the wine to totally travel in your palate. Mm-hmm. And I highly advise people to do that with a wine like this, with that balance and length. What I call two terms, horizontality, moves right in on each side of your palate and tongue, and at the same time, verticality is that length you have in the wines. And I love to hear those comments because I think we need to spend a lot of time swirling in our mouth to really get the energy and the telluric forces of a wine, because it's not just about the cosmos and magnetic strength, it's about the earth as well, and the power of the earth, which you could definitely feel in here.
Flawless Crowns is asking, what do you think this wine's legacy will be among all of the other great wines at Raymond Vineyards?
Oh, that's an exceptional question. What would you say? I'll let you start because you know all the Raymond wines as well. I have an answer though ready.
I think a big piece of it is the fact that it's 100% Cabernet, and it's really aiming to be the expression of that fruit. And I really think it comes down to that balance and that kind of old world softness and that elegant kind of finesse that it has for Cabernet. Cabernet is such a structured wine that I feel like this is very soft and velvety and very, very transparent.
I like that, and you know, you've described it beautifully. I would as well add to this question that we hope 2008, 2009 adds to the legacy of Raymond, and make 30 years from now, I hope I'm still there, but with the lifestyle I live, who knows? I drink enough wine that I may be. But the generation to come will say 2008, 2009 was a transition and an evolution within Raymond. We've always liked Generations since Generations started in 1993, which was a brilliant idea from the Raymond family. And it was a transition into that very elegant balance, as you said, and very eloquent, sophisticated style. Because I think what in any culture, we progress in a sense that we become much more refined and sophisticated, and this is really, I think, the cornerstone into the Raymond history. 2008, 2009, legacy, continuity, and a new fashion style within the house.
Grace says, another good word, luscious.
God, Grace, we're going to have to meet very soon. I hope you come all the way to Napa Valley. Why being in the Southeast today? Is Grace the wine in Georgia?
She is in Iowa.
Well, Iowa.
And she is working her way to be moving here to Napa Valley very soon.
Well, Grace, you know.
We look forward to her.
You know where to come.
Joining us.
We look forward to it. You will be the Grace Kelly of the Napa Valley.
So there's an amazing energy in the Valley right now with the Napa Valley Film Festival kicking off.
Yes.
And I also think that energy is really kind of riding the coattails of a spectacular vintage that just wrapped up. What are your thoughts on the vintage?
Well, we're very fortunate. You know, we had an incredible season in terms of weather, naturally. We have berries, which came exactly how we wanted. What I mean by that is the description is small, mille ronde, you know. For some of you who may not know, we love when the berries are very small, you know, very refined, very delicate. So the skin it has a certain thickness, but the juice is very nicely concentrated. Beautiful pit, so lots of natural tannins. So in terms of the red wine, that's what we got. Unbelievable. The season blessed by the god and the goddess. The last 2 years were a little shyer. So this year is really a big awakening. We are enlightened by this vintage. We feel this vintage in 2014 or 2015 when we release it, 2.5 years from now, will be absolutely spectacular. I just did a tasting before we just met now of a lot of our wines in tanks. We did a lot of long macerations. The colors are beautiful. The fabric of the wine is incredible. The identity will be really a great 2012 vintage. So we'll create again one of those wines you would want to lay down and keep and pass to your children. Or grandchildren for that matter. So it's going to be a staple. It's going to be you know, a vintage I'm going to ship back to my home in France and showcase to my friends, that's for sure.
Would you pair this bottle with Asian food? And if so, what would you suggest? Would it be too big for Thai?
I would pair it with a beautiful French kiss. That would be the number one recommendation. and I know it sounds a little obvious, but what I mean by that is the wine keeps your mouth absolutely so appetite that I would pair it as much with sashimi as even a little bit of ginger, and wasabi is not going to disturb this wine because even though wasabi is very powerful, it would work quite well with it. I would definitely go with fish because the wine is delicate and is respectful. That is very important, I think, today in winemaking. It's not just about us. A wine needs to be part of a conversation like we're having, so it cannot be the dominant factor. A wine with a dish has to respect the sommelier, but beyond the sommelier, the chef as well. So why I love that question as far as you know, sushi, sashimi, Thai food, or Chinese food for that matter, which is a ton of spices and an enormous complexity. I would love this wine because it can fight, it can absolutely maintain its presence and personality without being overwhelming. And that's personally what I always look with chefs, specifically today with the two amazing chefs we have, is you don't want the wines just to be the actor. Yep. You want everybody to interplay. So I love the question specifically with Cabernet. Everybody tells me always it's Pinot. And I'm so thrilled today to taste Cabernets with, you know, with Asian food specifically. Yeah. And to dominate the spice, because the spice in Asian food could be sometimes, you know, specifically me, I'm very sensitive to spice. So I take my pochette, kind of like that. But what is very cool with a wine like that, it appeases it, softens it, creates more appetite, and at the same time bring an amazing, you know, counterbalance to it. So yes, it's a long way to answer, forgive me.
Can you imagine like a Peking duck with this wine, like an earthy, spicy duck?
Absolutely.
Great choice. Absolutely great choice.
Is enjoying this with her spicy barbecue brisket this evening.
Ooh.
It's pairing very well.
That'll work.
That's another great suggestion, absolutely. Well, the beauty as well, as far as I'm concerned, the whole food and wine pairing is lovely. And at the same time, I think we need to empty the canvas or start from scratch. I have a hard time finding wines which don't go with food if either or are well made. And I know it sounds like a tarte à la crème, as we say in French, that big tart where I'm not voting, but I really enjoy a lot white wines with cheese, like Brillat-Savarin, with the Raymond Chardonnay 2011 with very minimal oak influence. It's very mineral and great acidity. It works very well with cheese. Brillat-Savarin or Comté cheese, as well as Cabernet. We had a bouillabaisse yesterday, so Mediterranean fish. And we had Raymond, and it showed marvelously. And it was a Cabernet with fish, where you would imagine, typically you would probably go into Pinot or Cabernet Franc. And here it was, and it was splendid.
How, Flawless Crowns is asking, how would you compare this bottle to the R Collection Cabernet?
Well, the R Collection is a beautifully well put together wine, and that's the beginning of Raymond. So the R Collection is really a wine where we want to have people being attracted to the seduction of Raymond. So you flirt with Raymond. It's like the beginning of the conversation. You eventually want to get there, but you get to know each other. So this is how I would qualify, the R Collection. Hence we call it collection, because we have 4 wines, a fill blend, spectacular. I love it. I'm addicted to it. And then the Cabernet and the Chardonnays and the Merlots. And those, are the beginning of Raymond, and then you move all the way up, of course, to what we're tasting today.
So I wanted to ask you about, within the Napa Valley, the estate vineyards that you have here in the Rutherford area. What's your perspective on those compared to other Cabernet areas, other red grape areas within Napa Valley? What have you learned about the vineyards here specifically?
Well, Rutherford is absolutely the spot. As far as I'm concerned, I've always really believed in it, all the way back since I first came in the 80s to California. Why? Incredible soil, a complexity that is second to none, that dust, which we call that miracle, which is the je ne sais quoi of Rutherford, and that austerity, complexity, flamboyance on the fruit, which you beautifully described earlier. I think your words were very well chosen. And at the same time, that strength and power that you have, but which is nothing about the alcohol. It's just about the well integration of the wine. And I love it. I love Sant'Elena as well. We have a vineyard across the street from the opening gates of Raymond. Mm-hmm. On Zinfandel Lane, the other side is Sant'Elena appellation, which I love too. And that's much more feminine, much lighter, very delicate. I love Rutherford because it combines, marries both. For me, Rutherford is where Napa Valley started. It's like Vougeot in Burgundy, where I'm from. Very fortunate. This is really where the monks established it, made it so unique, and this is where 11 centuries later we're continuing to do it. So I see Rutherford as the benchmark in many ways.
I think the same could be said for your role in the film festival this year, because the festival is taking place up and down the valley, but right here in the middle of the valley is kind of the epicenter of cool with what you're doing here in the Red Room and the partnership with Maserati and Gaggenau. It's a really cool must-see stop if you are making the trip into
Thank you. Well,
Napa
the
for
kindness to
the
say
festival.
That. Well, we brought obviously you guys who are the best, and a great energy, lots of fun people to come, from cinema to fashion to cooking to manufacturing the best things, whether it's a car, whether it's Baccarat, whether it's Christophe, which is amazing silverwares as well. So we're trying, and fortunately we have that at Raymond, bringing the best of everyone to really be showcased here. And luckily as well, we need to acknowledge, Rutherford is right in the middle of all Napa Valley. So we are really in the heart, in the gravity point, in the vortex of Napa Valley.
Definitely.
Where the energy is being stirred one way or the other.
Definitely. So if you are going to make the trip out here, whether it's for the festival or otherwise, make sure that you stop by and see what's going on here, because it's a very, very cool facility with a lot to take in.
Yes, and you can blend your own wine, which obviously I love to take people in. I have friends right now who are blending their own wine, and they're having a blast, I cannot tell you. Yes. And they get to, they're designing their own label, and it's going to be a lot of fun, and then we're going to take all their wines they've made, blind, and elect the winner and compare it to Generation.
Oh.
So it would be a pretty cool thing to do too.
Nice.
So that's what everybody can do when they come to Raymond, is make their own wine as well, which is quite special.
Outstanding.
I think it's important for people to know who are watching today that tickets are still available for the Film Fest. They can go online and get their passes today.
Great.
There's still a lot of excitement going on. We've got the opening night gala kicking off this evening. Depending on your pass level, you can put the Pass Plus, you will be included in the gala. You can still get your tickets, or you can just pick up a regular pass for the rest of the weekend. There's VIP lounges, there's all kinds of unique experiences. Of course, patrons get to luxuriate here in the Red Room, but there are the independent films going on in all of the villages, It is 24/7 entertainment for the next 4 days.
Exactly. So come, because the last night movie was quite amazing. Psalms. Everybody loved it, to the point that people had to do another screening.
Oh, yeah.
So successful it was. So you're seeing a lot of amazing people. The beauty, again, as you were asking my opinion, what I love about the Film Festival of Napa is when Brenda and Mark did an incredible job bringing an amazing group of people. That's one thing. And as well, to meet the producers and to talk about the people who make the movies. Like we talk about wine, great. Wine is one element of everything else in a community and in society. It takes journalists like yourself with your great magazine. It takes, CellarPass, of course, with the amazing work they do, which is a gate to the wine country and an amazing entry and promotional aspect to it. And then you have, obviously, wines, food, cinema, paintings, etc. So it's a really fun place to come. And if you want to make new friends, that's here.
Couldn't agree more. Do we have a last call for questions?
We do have some questions coming in. Giselle, my vine spot, is enjoying this wine with pan-glazed filet of beef. Now, these people really know how to cook. And is loving the marriage with this wine. Oh, not bad.
We will follow your advice, my Giselle. Giselle.
Then we have, what is the outlook for this year's vintage of Generations?
Well, this year will be phenomenal. So we are tasting 2008. 2009 is going to be miraculously incredible. 2010 will follow as a good vintage. 2011, we will see, but it's very promising. But 2012, which is obviously what we just finished, is incredible. And behind us, if you come to the Red Room, just behind us are all the tanks where we're doing all our cold soak and long maceration for Generations. And this is where it takes 60 days, 70 days, up to, that time for the conversion of alcohol, of the malic to convert into lactic acid, and naturally for the sugar to convert into alcohol. So it's going to be, I think, unbelievable this year, from color to density to you've said balance, which is very important, and as well finesse and elegance. So 2012 will be a vintage to collect without any question. I love 2008. We know 2009 is phenomenal. I don't want to discount 2008 because I love it, of course.
Flawless Crown says, Jean-Charles, a man of fashion, how would you compare the Generations in terms of a suit?
A suit?
A suit.
A suit?
A suit.
Oh, I see. How would I compare? I would compare it to a three-piece double-breasted. So why three-piece double-breasted? It was an era in fashion which we don't know anymore today. It's typically straight, like my jacket. But double-breasted because it layers after layers. What is very interesting is you take off your first double breast and you open. There's that first aromatic expression you described beautifully well today, which is that first moment. And then you have the gilet. Then you have the vest. Gilet is the French word for the... So the gilet is very important because I think in style you could keep your watch, you could keep all kinds of different things in those pockets, and you have a great posture. This wine has incredible posture. So I would really recommend a double-breasted gilet with a little bit of a, how do you call this? A
lapel?
A lapel. And then obviously a very thick 200 thread shirt, Egyptian cotton, with a interwoven very thick tie, kind of velour or velvet tie. So with of course a flamboyant deep red pochette. So that would be my fashion with it's not what I'm wearing today, but that's what I was wearing yesterday, is a very large, how do you say this, cuff.
Yes.
You know, not a 2 centimeter one, I would go 3.5, just like in the 20s and 30s. And that would be the style of a suit I would want to I will wear tonight, with that level of wine. So much to discover. That's the beauty. That's a great question. I love it.
Wide collar or French cuffs?
Oh, well, the collar would be like this one. So no buttons, you know, straights and cufflinks for sure. You know, and cufflinks with more space than this. So even your wrist can breathe. Very, very important. You don't want any tightness in your suit. You want to feel very comfortable, because that's a wine which takes you through every parts of your body.
They're loving the description. Absolutely.
With long socks of red color, of course, and the suit would be deep gray with a very thin, difficult line to perceive. That's going to be my tonight suit.
Pictures to follow.
Yes.
Excellent. Looks like the questions are kind of slowing down. I'll put out the
Well,
list.
everybody's having such a great time, and
They really
dinners
are.
and
They're
food.
very excited.
You're making us hungry. We're going to ask Holly and Michelle what they have prepared for us. But you know what is great is to be together. You guys are all scattered around the United States. We are here. We wish you would be here. Hopefully next year you could come. And if you're not, just put a great movie in. And the film festival is not live, sadly, but you're making it live thanks to all the great things you're doing. And have a great time. Life is about celebration. And by the way, it's a big theater too.
I just put out the last call, so we'll give it a second here.
And I love your hat, by the way. You
Thank you.
always have impeccable taste in hats. I
Oh,
really
thank you.
admire that.
Appreciate
So what's
that.
the hat tomorrow? What's going to be the big statement?
I don't know. I did a derby last night.
Ooh.
It was pretty fun.
Yes, very cool.
I don't know. I don't know about tonight or tomorrow.
Well, that's going to be the surprise.
These decisions are made in real time.
Yes, that's the best. I agree with you.
Grace says she is pretty much drowning in this gorgeous wine right now.
Oh,
And,
Grace.
My Vine Spot says you typically won't use Pinot descriptors to describe a Napa Cab, but elegance, finesse, and harmonious apply here.
Thank you. And I cannot tell you how much I love those words. Do you mind if we actually use them? I love it. And for the drowning, we are here to save you, my dear Grace. So let us know when we can come. If not, we'll fly to Iowa. That's the other solution.
She's coming. There's
Excellent.
No doubt. Flawless Crown says, how long would you age the 08 Generations Cabernet?
Well, that's the fabulous part. You know, the Raymond family have been extremely thoughtful as to collect for the generation to come. We started in '93. We still have 50 or 60 cases of each of the vintage, which we'll religiously keep. I think this wine will be phenomenal beyond my time. So I would highly recommend to all of us to advise to our friends, families, and whoever we have influence with to age Napa Valley wines. We created a room at Raymond, which is called the Library Room. And I was so frustrated to hear from European people, an Asian, oh, Napa Valley doesn't age, I have to drink it, it's an 08. I said, you guys are crazy. Napa Valley wines are aging as well as Burgundies and Bordeaux. Specifically over the last 40 years when winemaking has dramatically evolved. So my recommendation really is to make the test for yourself. You get a few cases of generation. It's on allocation, but we can work it out. And you taste it every other year. My suggestion, and what I'm doing, is I'm keeping 4 or 5 cases for the next 20 years that I'm not going to touch. Because I really feel a wine of that caliber has a propensity of aging, which is fantastic.
Outstanding. So in closing, I'd like to ask you, when I spoke with Andrea from Maserati, he was talking about the experience of driving a Maserati, and he was describing it using the senses very much in a way that you would describe a wine.
Yes.
And he was talking about movies as being an experience. And with the film festival, we're bringing together movies and films and wines and cars and all these wonderful experiences. And a man like yourself of great conviviality and adventure could you impart a little wisdom in terms of your thoughts on experiences?
Yeah, so you buy a bottle of Raymond, you buy a Maserati, and you go to the outdoor theater. And you start your engine every 10 minutes and you do vroom, vroom, vroom to get your adrenaline going up. And that's what I would do. I think the three together really fits. I forgot to say, you take off your suit.
Oh my Lord, Mr. Jean-Charles Boisset, it is always a pleasure.
Absolutely, and thank you again for visiting us, being with us, and doing such an amazing job to talk about Napa Valley, because you are the ambassadors. This is CellarPass and
Mutineer Magazine.
Mutineer Magazine, the best.
Signing off from the Napa Valley Film Festival here at the Maserati Patron Lounge at Raymond Vineyards, featuring Gagano. It's the real deal, folks. Come check it out if you can. You will be very glad that you did.
To find out more about today's featured winery, Raymond Vineyards, or to plan your next visit to wine country, go to CellarPass.com. Once you're there, you can book a variety of wine tasting experiences and download the free CellarPass app to get instant access to exclusive tours and tastings. That's CellarPass.com for instant access to book with our exclusive wine country destinations.